Hello, today we'll be discussing a very important part of your life this semester in our laboratory. I'd like to introduce you now to the Nikon E200 Compound Light Clinical Microscope. The E200 will either be your best friend or worst enemy this semester. In order to facilitate a good relationship between the two of you, I have put together Microscope 101. Please put aside your past training with the microscope, as you will need to follow precisely the methods which will be described. To begin, let's discuss and point out the important parts of this microscope. The microscope head houses the eyepieces and may be of the trinocular variety. The trinocular head only differs from the traditional head in that there is a camera attached that is capable of recording and snapping pictures of your images. These images can be used as part of your unknown report later in the semester. The traditional head does not have this camera. In order to rotate the head of your microscope, please turn the node that's on the side of the microscope and loosen it, thus allowing you to rotate the head around. The oculars or eyepieces. There are two of them. The total magnification is found by multiplying the eyepiece by the objective. An example of this would be 15x eyepiece with a 4x objective would be 60x magnification. The eyepieces can be adjusted like so, allowing it to be catered to each person's individual eyes. The next part is the stage. The stage is the platform that the specimen is placed on for observation. It has controls on the side which allow for vertical and horizontal movement of your microscope slide. In addition, there is a clip on the stage that allows you to place your slide and then secure it. The diaphragm. The diaphragm is adjustable with the tab that's on the front of your condenser. So the diaphragm is labeled with different numbers. Each number corresponds to the objective that you're currently working with. 4, 10, 40, 100. Depending on the objective you're using, you'll want to adjust this for maximum visual clarity and whatnot. So right now we have the diaphragm dialed to 4 because we're working with the 4x objective. So the fine focus knob allows you to make fine adjustments while focusing, and it is the smaller knob on the side of your microscope. The coarse adjustment knob allows you to make large adjustments while focusing, and should only be used when you're using the 4x objective. The objective lens are housed in the revolving turret. So the revolving turret houses the objectives, and the objectives are as follows: 4x, 10x, 40x, and then 100x. The base of the scope is the lower portion of the scope that houses the light source and is used to carry the scope from the microscope cabinet. The handle of the microscope is used to carry the scope. And lastly, the power switch turns on and off the microscope. When using your microscope, there are several things you should not do. Never remove any of the parts of your microscope. If there appears to be problems with the scope, please notify your TAs or me. Never use a microscope that appears to have damage until you have spoken to either your TAs or me. To remove your microscope from the cabinet, please approach the cabinet and locate the number you are assigned. Next, each right-hand door can be opened simply by pulling on the handle. The left-handed door requires an additional step. Once you have opened the right-handed door, reach up on the inside of the left door and disengage the latch on the inside. Now simply pull the left door handle as you are disengaging the latch. Both sides of the door should now be open. To remove your microscope, grab the handle and support the base of the microscope. Return to your assigned bench top. Obtain a microscope slide from your TA. Proceed in the following manner. Before you attempt to use your microscope, at the beginning of the exercise, make sure of the following. The microscope does not have any damage from the previous group. If there is, report this to your TAs or me. That the objectives, light source, and eyepieces are clear of obstructions and are clean. If they are not clean, please clean them before you attempt to use the microscope. Use the lens paper and ethanol to clean the scope. To use the ethanol bottles, simply align the node on the cap with the node on the neck of the container. This will create a channel and allow the ethanol to flow onto your lens paper. Also, be sure that the objective is on the lowest magnification, the 4x, and that the power is turned off on your scope. Never raise the stage with the coarse adjustment knob when either the 40x or 100x objectives are being used. You may unknowingly raise the stage too far and damage both the scope and your slide. Next, unwind the cord and plug it into the closest outlet in relation to where you are sitting. Please be sure not to allow the power cord to hang over the bench top edge, as it could be snagged by another student passing by. Also be careful not to place your microscope in close vicinity to your Bunsen burner, as this could cause harm to the microscope as well as you. Plug in your microscope. After making sure that your microscope is on the 4x objective, drop the stage to the lowest position using the coarse adjustment knob. Load your slide onto the stage of the microscope with the specimen facing up. Turn on the power to your microscope. While looking through the eyepieces, try to keep both eyes open and rotate the coarse adjustment knob. Because we are using a scope that's equipped with a trinocular head, it is necessary to pull the little handle on the side of the trinocular head to the first position. This allows the light to pass through the scope to the sensor on the camera, as well as through the eyepieces, so that you can look through it and see something as well as capture something at the same time. Now, as you can see, there's on the screen behind me, there's a dark spot in the middle. So I can adjust for this by simply lowering the condenser, which I'll do right now, which is a little better. While looking through the eyepieces, try to keep both eyes open. Rotate the coarse adjustment knob slowly to raise the stage. Once you are able to see the specimen, usually looks like speckles on the slide. Adjust the condenser and the diaphragm for optimal viewing. And fine focus. The diaphragm has the objective numbers printed on it. You should adjust with each switch of the objective, lining up the tab with the appropriate objective number, and adjust the condenser as needed. There are 3 ways to tell if you're viewing what is on the slide versus debris on the eyepiece or objective or light source. Rotate your eyepieces while looking through them. If the specimen rotates, clean your eyepieces. Use the stage adjustment knobs to move the slide to the left or right. If your specimen does not move, refocus using the coarse adjustment knob. If you still feel that there's a chance that you may be seeing debris, wipe the light source with a lens wipe. If your specimen disappears after doing this, refocus. Once you're satisfied with your view, you may now increase magnification. Using the revolving turret, dial the scope to the 10x objective. Due to the parfocal nature of your microscope, you will no longer be using the coarse adjustment. Using the fine focus adjustment, focus the specimen using the 10x objective. Adjust the diaphragm to the 10x position, as well as the condenser if necessary. Once again, after getting the specimen into focus, increase magnification. Using the turret, dial the scope to the 40x objective, which is called the high-dry objective. Adjust the tab of the diaphragm to the 40x position. Fine focus to view the specimen. Please note, at this magnification, the specimen will not be clearly visible due to the refractive qualities of the glass and air between the objective and the slide. Once you can see your specimen, increase your magnification once again. When using the 40x objective, care should be taken to view organisms that are not fixed to the slide. The 40x objective should never be used when there is oil present on the slide. Using the turret, dial your scope to the 100x objective, also known as the oil immersion objective. Find focus and adjust the diaphragm and condenser. Using the turret, dial the scope to the 100x objective, also known as the oil immersion objective. Find focus and adjust the diaphragm and condenser. As you can see, the specimen is not clearly visible. Dial the turret so that you are neither at the 40 or the 100x objective, but rather in between the two. Next, place a drop of oil, not too big and not too small, on the slide. Using the turret, dial your objective back to the 100x objective. Find focus and adjust the diaphragm and condenser. Once the oil has made contact with the objective and bridges the gap between the objective and the specimen, the image can be seen. Do not rest your hand on the stage as you're applying the oil, as it will throw your scope out of focus. Using the fine focus knob, turn it back and forth slightly to allow the objective to make contact with the oil. Once contact is made, make very fine adjustments in the fine focus knob to bring the specimen into focus. If you lose the specimen at 100x with the oil, do not go back to the 40x. Instead, go directly to 4x, fine focus, then to 10x, fine focus, and instead of going to the 40x, you would rotate the objectives in the opposite direction and refocus using the 100x objective. By doing it this way, you do not place any of the objectives in contact with the oil except for the oil immersion objective. If this does not solve your problem, check to make sure that your slide is not upside down. You may now show your specimen to your TAs for their signature. After this has been done, return your scope's objective to the 4x, being careful not to pass the 40x through the oil. Remove the microscope slide from your scope and place it to the side. Using the coarse adjustment knob, rotate it so that the stage moves down. Please clean the 100 and 40x objectives with a piece of lens paper as well as the stage if there's oil on it. Using a piece of lens paper, Please clean the 40 and 100x objective using ethanol. Be sure to dry the objectives off after wiping them with ethanol, and return the objectives back to the 4x position. Power off your microscope, and if you have a trinocular scope, push in the lever for the trinoc head, and be sure to secure the head to your scope so that it doesn't fall off in transit. Next, unplug your microscope, both cables, both or one of your. Next, unplug the cables from your benchtop. Wrap the cable or cables by beginning at the top of the holder to place less strain on the socket of the microscope. Continue wrapping the cable around the holder. Secure the cable to the backside of the other cables. Continue doing this until you reach the top and place behind the other cables. You now have secured the cables to your microscope. Lastly, return the microscope to the assigned locations in the microscope cabinet, being sure to grab your scope by the handle and holding it by the base, like so. Now that you have been acquainted with the microscope, I hope you both become good friends this semester.